This video is to demonstrate exactly how I set up HM3 to be able to have it read SWC Poker hand histories. I'm going to walk you through the process from installation to database input so that you can see how to get it set up and allow you to see the hands if you're playing on SWC Poker. It doesn't matter if you download the trial version or you pay for it, the initial setup is the same. There's no difference between the two. First step, you're going to choose between Express installation or Advanced installation. I'm going to demonstrate using Advanced installation because there's a couple steps that I can include in this that I won't have to do later. Now, this is where you create a database for the hand histories. You have several options. If you're transferring from HM2 to HM3, you can import an existing HM2 database. If you have another HM3 database on your system and want to also include SWC in that, you can. Or if this is the first time you're using the software, you're going to create a new one. For the purpose of this video, we're going to create a new database. I'm going to call my database SWC Poker, which is previously set up here, as you can see. The database itself is saved in your Documents folder under the Holdem Manager 3 subfolder, specifically in Databases. Now, at this point, you want to select Do Not Import Any Hands. If you leave it by default, it defaults to Import 1,000 Hand Samples database to experiment with. What that basically means is, once you get the software set up and you launch it, you're going to see there are already existing hand histories in the software. Those were supplied by Holdem Manager for you to see how the software works and be able to manipulate it accordingly. Since I'm looking to import the hands manually in order to get SWC to work, I'm going to choose Do Not Import Any Hands. If you've played with HM2 before and understand the different HUDs that they have available, this gives you the opportunity to import any of those that you have used in the past. You don't have to have HM2 installed in order to have access to this. The software supplies them for you. I've never used HM2. I'm not familiar with any of these HUDs, so therefore I'm not going to select any. You can choose what your setup for the basic HUD is at this point. I always choose beginner because there's a lot of information on the HUD I don't understand. And this digital one is a little bit funky too, but that doesn't matter. Later on, you are able to change the HUD and manipulate the HUD and actually customize it through the software. So this isn't really that important, but for the purpose of what I'm trying to demonstrate, I always just pick the beginner. This is the anonymous usage data page. Basically what this is it's letting you know that the software from time to time will pull information from the software only to send back to the developers. It specifically states that no personal information or hand history data is collected by this. So if you're curious exactly what this is for, it's just asking for permission to allow certain bits of data about the software itself to be collected and sent back to the development team. It will tell you, if you read this, what it is that they're collecting in case you're wondering. Some people just pass this, some people get nervous by it. I'm just explaining it so that you understand in case you're not so sure. Now that we're finished, let me show you what the database looks like in default. This is the Poker Manager database default. As you can see, it has no profiles associated with it, and under hands, it's blank. There has been no sites associated to the software yet. Everything is empty, and as you can see, it's waiting for hands. It's in a state where it's going to start collecting information. By default, when it launches, it automatically starts the HUD, and since you're not running any of the sites, the HUD interface won't launch. It doesn't matter. It doesn't do anything, but that's what that means. It's just basically it's running, looking for a site that you're playing on so that it can add the HUD accordingly. From this point, these are the steps that you need to do in order to get SWC to work. Go to Tools, select Settings. Okay, now, on the settings screen, this is what you're going to see. Under General, just basic bits of information. You don't have to make any changes here. Under Import, this is where you want to go. Specifically, uncheck Move imported files to an archive directory. This by default is checked because I have an existing setup on my system. This has already been unchecked, but this is the state that it'll look like when you go here from default. You want to make sure that you uncheck this. The reason why that is because regardless of what time set you apply, I put in 60 minutes, which is the maximum. What that means is every 60 minutes, the software is supposed to go into your hand history, pull the hand history files out of your hand history, and put it into the archive, freeing up space in your hand history folder and allowing new hand histories to be added. The problem is, it doesn't abide by the 60-minute rule. It starts pulling within 10 minutes of you playing. That causes conflict with the software because of the fact that it pulls the file regardless of what state it's in. It means that the hand history file is incomplete. It'll be in the middle of a hand. It'll capture only the flop, and then as it starts to go into the turn, and then nothing else, it all gets pulled off, and that causes a conflict with the software. So it's absolutely vital that you turn off imported files to archive and move imported files to an archive directory to allow the hand history to fully flush out in your hand history folder and allow the software to read it. Okay. Now, the next step that we're going to go to, let's go back here. Hold on a second. Okay. The next step that we're going to go to also is under Tools. This time, you're going to go to Site Settings. Under Site Settings, let me pull that up here. There we go. Under Site Settings, this is the sites that you allow the software to look for the hand histories so that they can be included. In order to get SWC Poker to be read by this, you need to choose PokerStars. PokerStars is the site that comes closest to the SWC hand history format and allows it to be read. There are some conflicts. So sometimes when you're looking at the hand histories, like say for example your hand was Ace Jack, Ace of Diamonds, Jack of Clubs, and you go to replay that hand, the hand will reflect the whole cards will reflect as like Ace of Diamonds, seven of clubs. So it's not correct. If you look at the actual hand history in the Holdem manager without opening up the hand replayer or the hand history identifier and all that stuff, it will show correctly. But when you watch the review, it will show the hand incorrectly. So that's a little bit of a funkiness. What are you going to do? Anyway, so once you've added PokerStars for SWC, if you hit auto detect and you have PokerStars already on your system, the software will search your hard drives for the hand history for PokerStars and automatically add it. In this case, because of the fact that we're adding it manually, this is what you need to do. The first step that you need to follow is making sure that you change the default location of where SWC stores its hand history. If I'm not mistaken, it stores it on your on your C drive under your documents. Specifically, it will store it here. Let me show you. Properties. Okay. Let me see. Yes. If you look, it will store it here. Under your C drive, in your documents folder, in SWC Poker, hand history. Now, if you look in here, the profile for my username, and it's empty. The reason why it's empty is because I've manually moved it, and I suggest that you find another location. If you've got a storage drive, if you've got a partition for your main drive, wherever it is that you store data, like your games or music or whatever, create a folder there and put your hand history in that location. Where I have done is I have moved mine specifically to here on my D drive. That's where it is. Now it's not here because I'm going to demonstrate what you need to do. Here is my hand history. So there. I've moved my hand history, which you can see right here, into the D drive, specifically in a folder I created. Now, once you've done that, once you've done that, let me go back here. Here we go. Okay. And you know where your hand history is. Click Add. You want to make sure it's enabled because you want the auto import feature to work. Because what that basically is, it's telling the software to constantly check this folder for updated information. Because we chose PokerStars, it automatically defaults as a storing site of PokerStars. You can change that manually if you want, but there's no reason to. PokerStars is what works. Click on the ellipsis and identify where your hand history is. Now, you want to pick the folder. You're not looking specifically for the hand history file because remember, when I showed you, there was a bunch of them in there. But if I open it, it's blank. That's because it's not looking for the hand histories themselves. It's looking for the source folder where those hand histories are held. pick your profile, select it, and click OK. That will add the hand history path to the auto import, allowing it to look for these files specifically so that as hand histories are added to that folder, they will be added to the software. Now you'll notice up here, it's got a little X. The reason why that is specifically because no hands have been auto imported yet. That's just saying that nothing's been added to the Holdem manager yet. That's not something to be worried about because when you import and when you start auto importing, that will go away. So now here we are. It's been fully added, but you can see still there's no database information. I have no profiles, I have no card history, nothing. It's still blank. The last step to this process is to go to File, and let me see if let me show you, and go down to where it says Import Files or Import Folder. So once again, let me show you. File, you want to go down to where it says Import Folder, and this is what will show up. Let me see here. Here you go. This window will show up, and it's asking, where do you want to import? Now, obviously, if I've imported before, so it immediately goes to the location of where it was. You can see it's on my D drive hand history. I don't know where it defaults. It doesn't matter. Just remember where you put the folder that has your hand histories or where it's going to be located. You moved it from the default location to its new location. You need to remember where that was so that when you import the folder, you know where you're looking. So now we just click on the folder, select it, and it starts to import all of those files. Now, obviously, it reports errors, and I'll show you what that means in a second. But once it's done importing, voila, a bunch of hand histories show up. And for every hand history that you have, and it's a separate document, it reflects the hand in the bottom. If you've actively played those hands live, which means that that you were running the software while playing. That's what live hand means. It's basically you're actively the hand history is actively being fed at that moment, and you can review it through live play. And you can see here are all the hands that I played, and it gives the history of the information. The database interface can be manipulated by right-clicking on the top and selecting what bit of information you want to have reflected in the hands that are listed. But that is how you get the database into SWC. Oh, I meant, hold on, I didn't show you. Hold on one more second. Let's go back. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that. So if we go back to sessions, you can see all of my hand history, and then it has a reflection of what the hands were down here. So depending on the files that you had, reflects what's shown here. Here is a problem with this, and this is one of the things that you will see. Now you can see I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I've got like, let's say 20, right? 20 hand histories. Let me show you something. I'm going to open up the actual folder that has the hand histories themselves, which is on my D drive, hand history. Okay, let me show you. This is where there's a problem with the software. Where is it? Okay. Sorry, this is taking a little bit longer than it should. There you go. Now, I have more than 20 hand histories, obviously. So the question is, why is Holdem Manager only showing 20? Because at this point, it will not reflect tournament. Tournament hands are not reflected. As an example, this is a tournament hand. This is a tournament hand. Cash hand. Because it's pineapple, it won't recognize pineapple. But Holdem, cash hand, tournament, cash hand, Omaha. I have the upgrade so I can show Omaha, but I'm not worried about that. But the point is that I have a bunch of tournaments in here that are not reflecting. And that is exactly what I'm having a conversation with the development team about to try and find out what's going on. When I have more information, I will be sure to let you know. In the meantime, for all intents and purposes, that's how you get cash hand SWC poker hands into Holdem Manager 3 and how you can review them accordingly. And yes, the live play works. I have played plenty of games. I have played plenty of games where the hand history was playing as reviewing as I was playing. So there you go. That's the process. I hope that helps some of you out there to figure out how to get it set up. And once I have more information, I'll create another one of these. Have a good day.